and I am Otaku Lucifer, the Otaku Sage. And today we're going to be talking about why Evangelion is trash. Let's go.
Deploy the AT field as soon as the music starts. From there, just follow the plan. Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am!
The target is between the mountains.
Get ready. Once we start, we're going balls to the wall. It's full speed ahead.
Yeah, I'm ready. We'll finish this in 62 seconds.
The target is about to reach point zero.
I have been waiting to get this off my chest for years. When I have said to people in the past that Neon Genesis Evangelion or whatever the hell you want to call it, is trash, people used to look at me like I was crazy. But now it seems that according to my Facebook group, 80s and 90s Anime, that there's a good amount of people who agree with me. Evangelion is trash, and I have receipts as to why. If you've ever seen this mecha anime, and it's really a stretch for me to call it a mecha. If anything, it's probably the first biomecha anime. If anybody's watched Attack on Titan, they've realized by now, if they've gotten up to season 4, that the Titans are basically biomechs, right? The first time that I ever witnessed a series that was about biomechas was Evangelion, right? Was Neon Genesis. And that's one of the reasons why it sucks. Besides the fact that the main protagonist, Shinji, is neither really a hero or anti-hero, he just seems to be there, right? He seems to be a character that's stuck in a position because he has daddy issues, and his daddy's just being an ass, his daddy's a dick, right? And there's really no reason as to why they have this problem. Yeah, his mom died, and his father may or may not blame himself for his wife's death. And like a lot of things, that goes unresolved. And that's one of the reasons why the anime sucks. But the main reason for me why the anime sucks is the protagonists, right? The main protagonists in the series, which are the angels, are never fully developed, and then never even fully explained. One of the best things about the series, admittedly, right, besides the mechs, because the mechs are awesome, right? One of the reasons I even continued to watch it when I first saw it. Now, realize, I'm gonna date myself, right? Neon Genesis came out when I was like 18 years old, and I was like an intern at Milestone Media, I believe, which was like 94, 95. And I was like on my way to art school, so I was around all these like comic book artists who were talking about it, and they saw it, and they saw the original sub, not the dub, because the dub hadn't come out yet. And a lot of people loved it. There were a good handful of us who just thought it sucked, but we really liked the mechs, right? We liked the design of the mechs. We thought the way the mechs operated and the way they reacted was awesome, right? But there were big deficits to it then as now. And the only reason I finished watching it then, or watching the majority of it back then, was the fact that I was a big mecha fan. I grew up on mecha. I grew up on Robotech. I grew up on Dangaio. I grew up on Voltron. I grew up on Mazinger Z. Mazinger Z was actually the first anime that I ever watched as a kid in the Caribbean. It was literally like that, and Kimba the Lion was the first two animes I ever watched, which you would know as, which I knew back then as Leo the Lion, but you might know it as Kimba the Lion. Anyway, so I grew up on mech, so I was like all for Neon Genesis Evangelion when it first came out, and then there was no story, right? And like I was saying before, one of the best things about the series that would have made it a great series was finding out the big reveal that, oh, holy shit, Adam, right, the first angel to attack, was not only captured by Nerve somehow, right, without an Eva, right, but Adam was the basis from which all the Evas were created. So technically, all the Evas were angels too, or they were subsets of the main angel Adam. That was probably one of the best reveals of the series, and then they did nothing with it. It just went flat. So you had this big reveal that could have branched off into like all this crazy stories, right? Into all these different type of storylines and plot lines, and it went nowhere. Instead, after Adam is revealed, nothing happens, right? And we're left off the same way that the series started, which is you just have all of these angels, right, attacking this one place in Japan, or areas in close proximity to this place in Japan, but it's all Japan, right? And they're talking. Nerve is constantly saying we have to stop the angels to save the world, because the angels are trying to bring about the third wave. They never really describe what the third wave is, and they never really describe what the first or second wave was. They just say like the last wave basically was an attack to destroy the earth, and then a lot of the earth got destroyed. So now, we have to prevent the utter destruction of mankind by the angels, right? But my thought process always was, if these angels were attacking the earth and their plan was to destroy the earth, why are they attacking one by one? And why are they only attacking one area? If anyone ever saw the movie Independence Day, right? When those aliens came down and they were plotting on taking over the earth, they hit like every continent and every major city in every continent. They were not fucking around. They were trying to take over the earth. They were trying to take over the world. So it doesn't make, and the crazy thing is, right, Evangelion came out around the same time that Independence Day came out. So if you were watching Evangelion around that time when Independence Day came out, and you saw what was happening in Independence Day, and then you're watching what's happening in Evangelion, you're like, this shit doesn't make any sense. Because, if you're going to take over the world, it's going to be either super overt, meaning, it's going to be really out and open and plain to see, or it's going to be hella covert, and they're going to be doing it behind everybody's backs and infiltrating governments and infiltrating like local governments and stuff like that, right? They like the CIA and the FBI and MI6 and all those places. They're gonna hit all those places, infiltrate those places, take it over from the inside, and then the next thing you know, there's a new world order led by aliens, and things like that. But that never happens in Evangelion. What happens in Neon Genesis instead is you have these angels just attacking this place one by one, and then we have to take it from Nerve, who's already lied to us, right? And they're lying to each other, right? But we have to take it from Senji's father, who's like the head of Nerve, or that what he's saying is true, and it's already been proven that he's a liar. He lied to Senji, he lied to the team, and he's done a whole lot of lying. So why are we being gaslighted into believing that these angels are attacking the earth in order to take it over when they're only attacking in one spot? That's my main gripe with the series, right? It makes no sense, and that is never explained. We don't know where the angels came from. We don't know who they are. We don't know what their purpose is. We don't know why they're attacking us. We're just supposed to take it off cap, right? I mean, we're just supposed to take it off top that that he's telling the truth, and he's just capping throughout the entire series, right? So it makes no sense to me for you to say, oh, the Earth is in danger, but only Japan is being attacked. Now, if the United States was being attacked, and Canada was being attacked, and Ghana was being attacked, and other places besides Japan, Mexico was being attacked. If major cities were being attacked, right, all at the same time, unmasked, it would make a whole lot more sense. But it makes absolutely no sense as to why these angels are attacking just one place in Japan, this one area in Japan, and they keep telling us, well, they're attacking the world, and we need to save the world, and if we don't stop them from attacking this one place in Japan, then the whole entire world is gonna fall. What? So that's my main reason. The other reason why I don't like it, and I think it's horrible, is the fact that...
It's full speed ahead.
Yeah, I'm ready. We'll finish this in 62 seconds.
The target is about to reach point zero.
You're trying to tell me that they're fighting a superior force every time, and there's a time limit. There's like a 5 or 10 minute time limit, and they beat the angels every time within that time limit. That's what you're telling me. You're telling me that these kids, and none of them are past 14, I believe, right? These kids literally go out and they beat the they beat the angels within 10 minutes every single time. It makes no sense. That's the writers. That's poor writing. That's poor plot development, and that's the writers saying, we think you're stupid, so we're just gonna make it so, like, in every fight on just about, except for the one where like it had that one angel that invaded the computer system, which was like probably the best episode in the series to me, right? It was awesome. That and the one, I think, when they went into the volcano, and you know, those were like the two best episodes to me. But you're telling me that every time they fight these angels, they beat them within that 5 to 10 minute window? Bullshit. Especially when they need to have their batteries packed and, you know, the battery pack charged at all times. Makes zero sense to me, right? So it's for these reasons that I think Evangelion is just horrible. And the fact that there was no real ending, right? In the original series, there was never a real ending, right? It just kind of like ended, right? I did like the tone of it, right? Like the whole thing with the cicadas going off. That's another thing, like, throughout the entire year, cicadas were going off, right? You would hear the cicada sound in the background, but like literally months had passed, and cicadas only come up every 17 years, and they're only around for a couple of months and then they're gone. So that's another thing that kind of messed with my head, but whatever. But there was, and that's the last thing though. There was no real ending to it. It just kind of ended, right? And then, you know, they tried to make up for it but coming out with the movie, which was like, you know, it was okay, you know, but it was kind of like a FU to the fans who were complaining about the fact that there was no real ending to the series, right? So then they come out with the movie. The movie's all right, and then they came out with 2 more movies, right? The second movie I never saw, because by that time I was just like so done. Now, mind you, I tried to watch it and I was just like, I'm bored. And that's another reason why I don't like the series. It took way too long to start to get going. I was bored, and a lot of people who watched that series were bored. They were bored. They were like, okay, this action, where's the action? Okay, fine, action, max fighting. Ooh, good, explosions. Wow, where's the story? Okay, the story's kind of lukewarm, but you know, I've watched Eureka 7. Yeah, you know, it's okay, you know. But it goes nowhere, and they're just kind of like spinning their wheels for like a good 7, 8, 9, 10 episodes, and you're like, what the fuck? Like, I have to go through like another like 10 to 16 episodes of this? Right? So that's another reason. It's just hella boring, you know. And by the time it gets good, you've kind of lost interest, right? It's one of those animes where I personally feel that because there's so many people who haven't seen mecha anime, like they haven't grown up on good mecha anime, right? So they just assume that whatever that they're seeing, because someone else told them that it was good, then it had to be good. So then they watch and they're like, oh yeah, it was good, it was classic, you know? No. No. When I was growing up, mind you, I grew up in the 90s, so you know, you had to be, it was just a totally different world. We didn't have Hulu and Crunchyroll and Netflix and all these streaming services, both legal and illegal, where you could just get your anime fix. Rest in peace, Kiss Anime, right? Where you could just get your anime fix at any time you wanted. We didn't have that. So, you know, if we got anime, it was a big deal. It was huge, you know, because you're talking about college and high school kids who was literally saving up their lunch money and working jobs and saving up the money from their jobs just to support their anime habit. And anime was not as big as it is now, where like, you know, the cons are everywhere and it's widely accepted. And even though you might have to deal with some BS if you're a person of color, it's not on the level that we had to deal with back then. If we tried to cosplay and go to conventions where like we would get kicked out, they would threaten us with calling the police on us just because some white kid complained that, you know, the colored kids were there trying to have fun too. And, you know, getting told by white kids that anime and comic books is not for black kids or people of color or Latinos or crazy, just nonsense, right? So for us back then, you know, a lot of us were excited to see Neon Genesis. A lot of us was just like, yo, have you seen it? Yo, that shit is dope. You know, are you gonna see it? It's crazy, you know? And, you know, you're spending $25, $20. And back, this is, mind you, this is like 20, 30 years ago. You're spending a shit ton of money. You know, $20 back then, $25 back then was a lot of money. And it wasn't for a DVD, right? A lot of times we were getting bootleg VHS copies of episodes out of order, right? So, and it was always like in the original Japanese with like no subtitles. So, you know, we had to piece together everything. And even then, we would love stuff, you know, like Ninja Scrolls, you know, was beloved by so many kids growing up at the time I grew up. Even though when a lot of us saw it, we had no subtitles. We were just kind of piecing together what was going on. And it was just awesome. But Neon Genesis just fell flat. And then by the time, you know, a couple years later, when the sub and the dub actually came out and we actually watched it again, it was still boring, you know. And then I tried watching it again when it hit, I think it was Adult Swim or Toonami, and it still sucked. So it's just bad. And a lot of people think it's cool just because other people that they know who are older watched it and thought it was cool. That's just my opinion, because when I talk to older people and even some younger people, when I talk to the people my age or people younger than me, who've actually sat down and tried to analyze this thing, they're like, yo, it sucked. Like, I don't know why people are just giving it all these props. Like, it was bad, bro. Like, I couldn't follow the story, and then I could follow the story, but then there was no story, and the only thing that kept me there was the fights. It's bad. It sucks. If you want to watch like some real anime, just so you know, some recent good mecha anime, Voltron, the Legendary Defender on Netflix is fucking bananas. Watch that shit. That you will literally like sit down and binge watch the entire series in like 1-2 sittings. It's that good. Binge watch Voltron Legendary Defender and then check out Iron Blooded Orphans. That is an amazing mecha anime. It's political, it's emotional, it has plot, it has agency, you know, it's everything is there, you know. I'm just a big fan of mecha anime, and Evangelion does not do it. It does not cut it. It's horrible. It's horrible. And the problem and the last and biggest problem about that anime is that it has all the potential and all the ingredients to be an amazing anime. Everything is there for it to be like the perfect anime, and it just falls flat. So, you know, that's my rant. This is my rant 101. I'm back, and I am going to be here trying to do reviews on things that I love. I might get political sometimes, I might not, I don't know. But yeah, if you like what you see here, just